1, 2, 3.
Hello, everyone. This is Kyle Galaz with Poor2Pro Car Sales Training Podcast. Become a sales titan. We're in season 7. This is a bonus episode. We're going to be talking about, is the grass greener? Is the grass greener on the other side? Are there dealerships out there that you can move to and flourish? We're going to be talking about that in this episode. I want to give a shout out to Frank Beard out of Boise. He messaged me about this topic, and I thought, what a great topic to cover. I've never really covered "Is the grass greener on the other side" topic in my podcast. And Frank moved from a dealership to a dealership to a dealership a couple times in a matter of a couple years because he's looking for his home. He's looking for a place to dig his feet in and make a career out of this. So, Frank, thanks for the idea of this episode. I look forward to doing this episode. Now, this episode is not going to be me giving you advice on or telling you to leave your dealership that you're at. I'm simply going to be going over the things I went through over my career at 3 different dealerships so you can get an idea of, okay, this resonates with me. Kyle's first dealership is kind of where I'm at, and maybe I do need to look somewhere else. Or Kyle's second dealership he worked at for a long time resonates with me, and maybe I need to stay, or maybe I need to move on. And then my final dealership that I'm at right now, I'll talk about that also, and you can decide, where you're at in your career, where you're at your dealership, if you want to, if you think I should move on or if I should stay. So I hope this episode helps. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you guys for everything that you do with the kind words, the good reviews, the shares. I love it when you guys share the podcast. I see my Spotify followers go up when you guys share. And finding me on Instagram and Facebook too. I appreciate your kind words there. And message me anytime. Message me your successes. Message me your challenges, and I can help you or congratulate you. You know, when people send me, I did a hat trick today, or I sold 2 today, or I made a 5-pounder. Message me because that amps me up even more. I love the car business through and through. It's in my DNA. I will die in the car business in one form or another. This is just what I love to do, and I love hearing from you. Go to Facebook, type in Kyle Galaz, Galaz. Find me, follow me, or go to Instagram, Poor2Pro _car sales training, and follow me there and message me there. I love hearing from you. So let's get into this episode. Is the grass greener on the other side? So in 2003, in February, I got hired at Gewicke Ford in Lodi, California, a very small dealership. They probably had 40 pre-owned vehicles on the lot and maybe 100 new cars. It was a Ford store only. They sold Mercury right before Mercury died and went bye-bye. So it was mainly a Ford store and some pre-owned. And I had a baby on the way, and I was married within that last year. So I knew that it was time to get down to business. I had sold computers for 3 years leading up to that. I had a buddy get in the car business, said there's money to be made in the car business. So I thought, well, I live in Lodi, and I want to sell some cars. So I went to Gewicke Ford, and I got hired. They hired me, and I started I think the next couple days. And they gave me 1 hour of training max. My manager at the time, who was my closer also, basically, we talked about cars. We walked a lot a little bit. He's like, all right, go sell a car. That was my training. And looking back at it, I can see how many flaws this dealership had. If I knew what I knew now and they had me as a manager there, I could have helped the dealership. But I was 20, just got in the car business. I had no idea. So I looked at these managers and the owner and the GM as, these guys know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. Wow, the stuff they say is incredible. Oh my gosh, I'm going to learn so much from these guys. So I started my career there. My first month I sold 5. The second month I only sold 3. Third, fourth, fifth month I started averaging around 7, 8, 9 at that dealership. But with such a small inventory, they flooded the floor. They had around 20 salespeople at the time, which was a lot of salespeople. There's salespeople everywhere. And there was no up system. You had to just stand by the door till they got out. Was it awkward? Yes, but I had to feed my family. I was standing by the hood of their car waiting for them to get out. That is how you had to get it up. I literally watched people race to get the up, and I thought this is normal. This is the car business. Wow, it is dog eat dog, but hey, I'm right in it. They hired me to do a job. I'm going to get right in the mix. So that's what I did. I was never bottom of the board, but I was never really top. A couple months, maybe I was salesman of the month, but for the most part, I was always in that 7, 8, 9. The top guy was selling 11 to 13, and the bottom guys were dying at 3, 4, and 5. But that's all that dealership could produce. And I thought, wow, if us salespeople sold more cars, the dealership could, flourish. But what I failed to realize is they were chronically stuck at 120 cars a month in sales before I left and after I left. So the problem was, it wasn't the salespeople that didn't know how to sell 100, 120 plus cars or get to the next level, that 200 mark. It was we had managers and a GM that didn't even know how to do it. So everyone was lost. Just the GM and the sales managers looked less lost than us. But all of us didn't really know how to do it because the store never really flourished. And shortly after I left, they went out of business. So I knew they didn't, at that point, I definitely knew they didn't know what they're doing if they can't even keep the doors open. But what happened in my career there, a little over a year, almost 2 years, is I started learning things. And when I knew it was time to go at this dealership, is after I learned a few things. One of them was my sales manager was on drugs. And I wasn't around druggies growing up, so I don't know the signs. But it finally came out that he was addicted to some drugs and he was doing them at work. And, he still was actually a sales manager. They didn't fire him because the owner at the time really liked this guy, and I really liked him. But I'm working for a guy that's addicted to some form of a drug. It wasn't just like weed or something. It was heavier drugs that I found out later. But that is who my manager was. So these people, when I got hired and I'm looking up to him, I'm finding out he's on drugs. He's doing drugs at work. Okay, I mean, I guess I'm just going to do my thing. That's not what I'm into. I just want to sell cars and go home. And then later I found out the GM, and this was actually came out as truth. The GM at the time started a cleaning service, and he would have a family member come in and kind of wipe things down, and I'll do the windows and the desk, and he was writing fat checks out of the dealership to that cleaning service, which was his cleaning service. So he was stealing money out of the dealership, and there was an investigation, and cops came and they asked us questions about it. It was crazy. But I still stuck it out because I'm the type of guy that's going to stick. I got a job to do, and my job is to sell cars. But after that GM got fired, and they hired two new quasi GMs that the owner couldn't pick between the two. So the owner had no backbone to say, "Hey, you're the GM, you're a sales manager. I have these two quasi GMs that have a power struggle, and we're getting torn in the middle of who you pick sides with." I thought we got drugs, we got stealing, we got two guys that think they're the GM, but they're not, and they're just very. It was just a very toxic dealership, and I knew that my time was coming to a close. And when they cut out and this is small, but it means a lot to car sales people, especially on a Saturday, when they started cutting back on the pizza on Saturday, which came out to $100, a couple Costco pizzas or whatever. Not even that, it was, I don't even know, it was 10 pizzas or something. But when they started cutting out on that because they were trying to preserve money to keep the store open, I knew, yeah, if you're cutting back on pizza on a Saturday, we're probably coming to the end. And so I left that dealership. There was just too many things adding up and not enough money flowing. And I moved on. I moved on from an extremely toxic dealership that just was letting too many bad things happen. And I was trying my best. I was truly trying my best. Could I have tried harder? Of course. But I was trying my best at the time with the training I got. The training they gave me was an hour's worth, and the rest I had to learn on the job experience. So I left. And we moved to Bakersfield, California, and I thought, nah, I don't want to work at another Ford store. I do like the car business, but maybe I'm going to try a Toyota store. So there was a big Ford store called Jim Burke Ford in Bakersfield, and then there was a Bill Wright Toyota in Bakersfield, both big dealerships. They had a lot of property, a ton of inventory, but I thought I don't really want to sell Ford again. I want to try a new brand, just kind of a fresh start. So I went and interviewed at the Toyota dealership, and I had kind of a nonchalant interview with one of the sales managers, and the vibe I got from this guy was total sleaze. I mean, you could just tell he's everything that you don't want to be in the car business, including his toupee. Uh, and I just knew at that point, Yeah, they say, yeah, you're hired. You go down to the DME and get your sales license, whatever I need to get. And I left there. I thought, no, that's not going to work. So I went down to the Ford store. I thought, well, I'll just interview down there. So I went down to the Ford store and I filled out an app and I met with their human resource department lady who had been there a lot of years. And you have to go through the human resource lady. She kind of filters out the good and the bad before you get to interview with the sales managers. But looking back now as a 41-year-old, I like that process. If you're not doing anything bad, HR is a great resource to have because they help you with a lot of stuff. But the fact that they have a human resource department, a beautiful office, all her stuff, and beautiful, desk and computers. I'm like, dang, they got some money in this dealership. That's the kind of dealership I want to work for. A place that has deep pockets, that's paying somebody to filter out and take care of their employees and do all the medical stuff and 401k. I like that. Looking back, that was a good sign. Instead of just interviewing with a guy with a toupee that's just cussing, it smells like smoke, and it's like there's a big difference there. So I left. They called me back for an interview with the three sales managers. So I had an interview with three sales managers, and I felt like I did pretty good. I'm here to sell cars. Let me go. Just let me do my thing. I'm going to sell you a bunch of cars. I will sell you the most I possibly can and never give up. And Chuck Downs, shout out to Chuck Downs. He was my sales manager when I got hired. He said, I'm gonna put my name in the hat for you. And I got hired. And I had a beautiful career there, 11 and a half years. And I got nothing bad to say about Jim Burke Ford. What a great dealership. If you're ever in Bakersfield and you want to work at a Ford store, go to Jim Burke Ford and talk with the management there and go there to work to work. Now, I started there when I was I think 22, 23 years old. I can't remember the exact time how old I was, but I was pretty young and I had a great career there. My problem, and shame on me, is the dealership saw me as that 23-year-old kid that started there, the 24-year-old, 25-year-old. I acted uh like a kid in his 20s, which what nothing wrong with that. The problem is when I got to that 30, 31 mark and I started wanting more out of my career, I started taking a little bit more serious. They still saw me as the goofy Kyle, the funny Kyle, the Kyle that they hired. And I wanted to be seen as this next level. I wanted to go to the next level, but I was stuck in their eyes as the young Kyle that, was kind of a goofball and didn't take everything so seriously. Yeah, he could sell cars, but you can never promote that guy. He's going to be a salesman for life. And I knew after 11 and a half glorious years there with wonderful customers, a great facility, and all the goodies there, and that it was probably time to move on. If I truly wanted to go to the next level, I was going to have to go somewhere and start with the new version of me, the 31-year-old version of me, because they saw me as the 23-year-old. A new place could see me as the new version, the 31-year-old. And what I learned from that experience and that transition was if you want to go to the next level, you have to be seen as the next level. They're not going to promote the 23-year-old Kyle to a major role when they see you as a kid still. And and that was where I failed there, and shame on me. Not none of their faults. It was my fault. So when I decided I'm going to move on because I need to try to get to that next level, the new dealership, yes, I'm going to start as a salesman, but I'm going to act like a sales manager. And that was the shift there. So the second dealership, and this may resonate with you. You may be seen still as that young 20-year-old if you've been there a few years, or you may act like the young 20-year-old, and they can't see you in that higher role. They can't see you in that next level. And that is why I left that dealership. Yeah, it was a great dealership. I would have stayed forever if I knew that I was going to have a growth opportunity. But the fact of the matter is, they still saw me as a young Kyle, not the version that I was becoming and eventually became. So, my reason for leaving that dealership was simply I wanted more for myself. I wanted more out of my career. And when I moved to the next dealership, that is what I made sure happened. I gave myself a timeline. I'm going to do 2 years in sales, and if I'm not a sales manager here, I'm moving on to a place that will get me to that next level because I didn't want to waste time anymore. Time is not on your side when you're getting in your mid 30s and late 30s. So I decided 2 years is my time limit. After 2 years, if I'm not promoted, I'm moving on to a place where I'll put in another 2 years and I'll grind it out. and act like that sales manager, act like that next level, and hopefully they see me and give me that promotion. Well, after about a year and 10 months, I started hearing inklings and Kyle, hey, be patient, things like that. And I knew that they were probably going to make a move soon. So I ended up staying 2 years and 2 months, 2 months after my goal that I wanted to be, because I started having some inklings of this might actually happen. And 2 years and 2 months, I got the promotion to sales manager. So if you want to go to that next level, you may have to move to another dealership if they still see you as that young buck, or you make a drastic change in your personality and make it known that, hey, I'm not that same young man anymore. I am a different person now and I want to go to the next level. I didn't do that at that Ford store, and maybe I could have done that, but I made a conscious effort to move on. But maybe if you're struggling with, man, I'm stagnant, I've been in sales here quite a while, I want to move up, that problem may be just because the way they see you of who you were, not who you are. So if you're at a dealership, make that switch to I'm going to be a sales manager, and maybe they'll start seeing that and make it known. When I was asked by my GM at the time, Kyle, what do you want to be here? Do you have any goals? I want to be a sales manager. There no hesitation there. He asked me a couple times, and I knew, why is he asking me that? And I'm giving him the same answer over a period of 6 months, a year, unless he's got a vision for me, which he did. So let's recap. The first dealership I worked at toxic drug users stealing from the dealership. They don't know how to sell more cars themselves. How do they expect their salesmen to do it? They're not training us. They're just saying go sell a bunch of cars. And the writing was on the wall for me. If they expect us to sell more cars, but they don't know how to, how are we going to do this? It's like the blind leading the blind type thing. And so I made a decision that I got to get out of here. At least let me take my skills somewhere else to where maybe I can make more money, or at least have a cleaner facility and work for people that I actually respect. The thing that you might run into as a salesperson is, if you're on the video, you can see this is your talent. This is the desk talent, your GM, your owner's talent. So you have so much talent to sell cars, and it's getting bottlenecked by managers that don't know what they're doing. That is what I felt like at that first store. I got all this talent in the world. I'm trying to make it happen, and it's getting bottlenecked through a tiny straw through managers that don't know what the heck they're doing, and they're doing drugs and doing crazy stuff. So that's when I moved on. The second store was my fault. Jim Burke Ford's store was my fault because I didn't put myself out there as the guy that they could promote. I made it very difficult for them to want to promote me because I acted like a 20-year-old kid, 23, 24. I wasn't there mentally. And when the shift finally happened there, they still saw me as that young buck. And I knew I had to move on if I wanted to get the recognition I needed. So I moved on to the other dealership, and I started fresh with that new mindset. I'm going to be a sales manager. And I laid down the numbers, man, laid down the numbers, selling highest gross, all that stuff, man. I made it known that this is the guy we want to be, a sales manager. And guess what? They did it for me. So there's a lot of decisions into moving to different dealerships. I'm not going to tell you point blank if you ask me, hey, Kyle, should I move on? Yeah, move on. I can't do that because it's your decision. It's for your family, for yourself, for your income, for your career. But maybe some of these scenarios that I went through over my time can help you make that decision of, yeah, it's probably time to move on. Or no, I have a great thing here. I work at a great dealership, and don't take those dealerships for granted. There's a lot of good dealerships out there that you work for right now that you can move up. You just have to make that switch. So take a look at your dealership. Take a look at the facility. Is this place made of money, or is this place struggling to buy pizzas on Saturdays? And if it's struggling to buy pizzas on Saturdays, you might have to make the move I made. Because if they can't get pizzas on Saturday, how are they going to pay me more? How are they going to promote people? How are they going to expand the facility? How are they going to get more inventory if they can't even buy pizzas on Saturday? If they're cutting back on that, those little things started adding up. Then I go to the Ford store in Bakersfield, and they have an HR lady that has all this nice equipment and a beautiful office and beautiful desks and computers and all this nice stuff. Okay, they got money here. I look around the dealership, they got special edition trucks, Roush Mustangs, Shelby's over here, GT 500s, Harley Davidson lifted trucks. This place has money. Money means opportunity. I can get a piece of this pie. That's why I stayed there 11 and a half years. The only reason I moved on is because I wanted growth for myself and my family, and I got it when I went to the other dealership because I took it. I took it. Yes, someone has to grant it, someone has to promote you. But if you're in the right mindset, you're going to take it. So take this episode, do what you will with it, and hopefully it helps you. And if you ever have any questions regarding the car business, message me, find me, friend me. I'm here. I'm a resource for you. The more I get to talk about the car business, the bigger my smile gets. It's in my DNA. I'm here to help you, and I'm going to be here for your whole career. As long as I can do this, I'll be making episodes to help all you salespeople out there from across the world. It's in 70 plus countries now. Poor2Pro. I get statistics from India and Ireland and Australia and these crazy countries. I'm like, man, they sell cars there too. Of course they sell cars there. There's cars being sold around the world. And what's really cool is I like surrounding myself with like-minded people. I want a circle with me that is car salespeople from all different states, different countries, and we form a team eventually of elites, the sales titans, man. I got some ideas that I'm gonna pursue here shortly, and hopefully it can come to fruition to where I can have a global team of sales titans, and we unite and we dominate car sales. And when people hear about sales titans and oh, you're one of the Poor2Pro sales titans, you're hired. You're hired. This is the kind of stuff I'm trying to work on. So I appreciate your support. If you're so kind, please leave a donation. All the links are in the description. Buy the Poor2Pro workbooks, buy the Sold as Gold, buy anything you want from Poor2Pro because it's going to help the podcast elevate. I don't spend it on stupid stuff. It goes right back into the podcast and equipment and microphones and everything that I need to give you the best product possible. Appreciate your guys' support. Kyle Galaz signing out.